I don't want their money. I want my name in the building.
At midnight on a Tuesday, I watched my wife Celeste polish her phone screen for the 15th time in 10 minutes. If she rubbed that thing any harder, it would file a restraining order. Another business trip? I asked, noting the overnight bag she'd packed with her best lingerie. The black set I hadn't seen in 2 years. Portland conference. You know how these agency presentations go, Simon. She didn't look up from her screen, fingers dancing across it like a pianist hitting familiar notes. I'm Simon Drake, 41, creative director at Whitman & Associates, the kind of guy who notices details others miss. 20 years in advertising teaches you to spot the lies people tell themselves. Celeste's lie was particularly artistic. Funny thing about that Portland conference, I said, leaning against our kitchen counter. I handle all the creative presentations for main accounts. Weird that nobody mentioned needing me there. Her fingers froze for exactly 3 seconds. Then she resumed typing. It's more of a strategic planning session. Boring executive stuff. You'd hate it. The phone buzzed. She grabbed it like a lifeline, and I caught the contact name. Jules Work. Julian Mercer, account director. Married to Vanessa, who throws those charity galas Celeste always finds excuses to skip. Julian, who'd been finding reasons to stop by my office lately, asking about Celeste's creative process with the kind of smile that made me want to check my wallet. Of course I want to come, Jules. Lock the door this time. She thought I was in the bathroom. I wasn't. I stood there, watching my wife of 15 years confirm plans to cheat on me, and felt something cold settle in my chest. Not heartbreak, that would come later. This was calculation. The same feeling I got when a client tried to screw us on a contract, and I had to decide how thoroughly to destroy their reputation. You know what, Celeste? Have fun at your conference. She looked up, startled by my tone. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing, just have fun. I walked to our bedroom, pulled out my laptop, and did what any good creative director does when faced with a problem. I researched. Celeste's agency login was still saved on our shared computer. Sloppy operational security, but then again, she never expected me to look. Her calendar showed no Portland conference. Instead, weekend strategy session, Riverside Hotel, Suite 412. The Riverside Hotel. Downtown's sleaziest attempt at luxury. The kind of place that rents rooms by the hour and pretends it's boutique. I screenshotted everything. Simon, Celeste called from the kitchen. Are you okay up there? Perfect, I called back. Just checking something for work. My phone buzzed. Eddie, my younger brother, texting his usual late-night nonsense. Beer tomorrow? Vanessa's charity thing got canceled. Apparently Julian had to cancel last minute for work. Interesting. I typed back, rain check. Got a project starting tomorrow. The project was my marriage's autopsy, and unlike Celeste's creative process, I planned to be thorough. She appeared in the bedroom doorway, overnight bag in hand. I'm leaving early tomorrow. Don't want to wake you. Thoughtful, she kissed my cheek. A dry, perfunctory peck that felt like a business handshake. Love you. Love you too. We were both lying now. After she left the next morning, I called Eddie. Remember when you said you missed the investigative work from your military days? Simon, what the heck are you planning? Nothing illegal, just comprehensive. Eddie arrived within an hour, carrying a duffel bag I didn't want to examine too closely. My brother had done 3 tours in the Middle East, specializing in intelligence gathering. Civilian life as a security consultant bored him. Show me what you've got, he said. I laid out the screenshots, the hotel booking, the timeline. Eddie whistled low. She's not even trying to hide it. This Julian guy married? 15 years, 2 kids. Messy. Eddie grinned. I like messy. What's the plan? Phase 1, confirmation. Phase 2, documentation. Phase 3. I paused. Phase 3 depends on what we find. We drove to the Riverside Hotel in Eddie's unmarked van, another perk of his security business. The lobby reeked of cheap cologne and expensive desperation. Room service, Eddie announced to the desk clerk, holding up a generic uniform shirt and a covered tray he'd somehow acquired. Suite 412. The kid behind the desk barely looked up. We took the service elevator to the 4th floor. Eddie had somehow procured a master keycard. I didn't ask how. The hallway was empty, muffled sounds coming from behind various doors. Suite 412 sat at the end of the hall. Eddie pressed a small device against the door, then handed me an earbud. Digital stethoscope. Military grade. The sounds from inside made my stomach clench. Not just the obvious ones, but their voices. God, Jules, when can we stop sneaking around like this? Soon, baby. Vanessa's getting suspicious, but I've got it handled. Simon's clueless, always buried in his creative projects. What about the others? What others? Don't play dumb. Rhea told me about the redhead from accounting. And that intern. A pause. Then Julian's voice, colder. Rhea needs to learn when to keep her mouth shut. Rhea Carter, Celeste's best friend and our HR manager. Of course she knew. Jules, I'm not sharing you with a harem. You're not sharing me. You're the special one, Celeste. The others are just diversions. I pulled out the earbud, handed it back to Eddie. He was watching my face carefully. Heard enough? More than enough. We were heading back to the elevator when the real room service arrived. A tired-looking woman with a cart full of champagne and strawberries. Suite 412, she asked. Already handled, Eddie said smoothly. But you might want to give them a few more minutes. They're busy. The woman rolled her eyes and turned back toward the elevator. That's when the second elevator opened, and Vanessa Mercer stepped out. She was dressed for travel, pulling a small suitcase, her face set in grim determination. She walked past us without a glance, straight to Suite 412, and knocked. Room service! Eddie and I exchanged looks and ducked into the stairwell, leaving the door cracked. The suite door opened. Julian's voice. We didn't order, Vanessa. What the heck are you doing here? Surprising my husband? Aren't you happy to see me? How did you find you? Credit card statements, darling. You're not as clever as you think. A crash from inside the suite. Celeste's voice, high and panicked. Julian, who is that? Oh, that's Rich. Vanessa's voice carried clearly. You must be the latest flavor of the month. I'm his... You're what, honey? His girlfriend? His soulmate? Let me guess. He told you his marriage was over? That he was just waiting for the right time to leave me? Silence. That's what he told the redhead from accounting, and the intern, and the woman from the Portland office. Should I continue? More crashing. Celeste appeared in the hallway wearing a hotel bathrobe, her face flushed with humiliation and rage. This is insane, she muttered, fumbling with her phone. Julian emerged behind her, half-dressed and trying to smooth-talk his wife. Vanessa, let's discuss this at home. Home? You mean the home you've been lying about for months? The home where I found the hotel receipts, the restaurant charges, the jewelry purchases that never made it to me? Vanessa's voice was getting louder. Other doors along the hallway started opening. Ma'am, is there a problem? The desk clerk had arrived with hotel security. No problem, Vanessa said sweetly. Just delivering divorce papers to my cheating husband. She pulled an envelope from her purse and slapped it against Julian's chest. You're served, Jules. Enjoy your harem. Celeste had managed to get dressed and was trying to slip toward the elevator. Vanessa noticed. Oh, don't leave on my account, sweetie. Here, you might want these too. She handed Celeste a second envelope. What is this? Divorce papers. From your husband. He asked me to deliver them personally. The hallway went dead silent. Celeste stared at the envelope like it might bite her. That's impossible. Simon doesn't know what? That you're screwing my husband? Honey, he's known for weeks. He's the one who called me. I hadn't called Vanessa, but Celeste didn't need to know that. Eddie was grinning beside me in the stairwell. You magnificent bastard. You didn't even have to do anything. Sometimes the best revenge is just watching people destroy themselves. But as I watched Celeste's world crumble in that sleazy hotel hallway, I realized this was just the beginning. The fallout from the hotel incident spread through our small main city like spilled coffee on white carpet. By Monday morning, everyone at Whitman and Associates knew about Julian and Celeste's affair, Vanessa's dramatic confrontation, and the divorce papers that may or may not have existed. I let them wonder. Simon, I'm so sorry, Jennifer from accounting whispered as I passed her desk. If you need anything, thanks, Jen, I'm doing fine. And I was. Better than fine, actually. For the first time in months, I felt like myself again. Sharp, focused, in control. Celeste hadn't come home since the hotel. According to office gossip, she was staying with Rhea Carter, her partner in crime, and our soon-to-be former HR manager. Julian had apparently moved into his downtown office after Vanessa changed the locks on their house. I was sitting in my office, reviewing creative briefs, when my phone rang. Mr. Drake? This is Red Mallory, private investigator. Vanessa Mercer hired me to document her husband's affairs for the divorce proceedings. I understand you might have some information that could be helpful. Red Mallory. I'd heard the name around town, a former cop who specialized in matrimonial investigations, reputation for being thorough and discreet. What kind of information? The kind that helps wronged spouses get what they deserve in court. Can we meet? We met at the King's Tap, a dive bar downtown that served as the city's unofficial information exchange. Red was exactly what you'd expect from a private investigator. Weathered face, sharp eyes, the kind of person who noticed everything and forgot nothing. Vanessa's got a strong case, Red said over his bourbon. Julian's been sloppy. Multiple affairs, company credit cards for hotel rooms, gifts purchased on joint accounts. But she wants more than just a favorable divorce settlement. Such as complete social and professional destruction. The man's been running through women like tissues, telling each one they're special while maintaining a stable of side pieces. Vanessa wants every detail public. I sipped my beer. And my wife? Collateral damage, I'm afraid, but from what I've observed, she's not exactly innocent. Red slid a manila folder across the table. Julian's greatest hits from the past 2 years. Your wife's just the latest in a long line. The folder contained photographs, credit card statements, hotel receipts, restaurant bills. Julian had a type. Ambitious women in their 30s and 40s, usually married, always looking for something their husbands weren't providing. The redhead from accounting, I said, recognizing a face from the photos. Lisa Martinez, lasted about 6 months. Before her was a marketing consultant from Portland. Before that, a city councilwoman's wife. Jesus, he's got a system. Identifies unhappy wives, plays the understanding confidant, promises to leave his own wife, strings them along for months while juggling multiple relationships. Your wife lasted longer than most. 8 months. 8 months. While I was working late on campaigns, taking on extra projects to save for our anniversary trip to Europe, Celeste was building a relationship with Julian Mercer. What do you need from me? Access to your wife's communications, if possible. Financial records showing expenditures that don't match her story. Anything that helps establish the timeline and extent of the relationship. I thought about Celeste's laptop at home, her email accounts, her credit card statements. I can probably help with that. There's something else, Red said. Julian's been using company resources to facilitate these affairs. Conference rooms booked under fake names, company credit cards for personal expenses, even using the office after hours for meetings with his women. If that information found its way to the right people, he'd be fired and potentially face criminal charges for misuse of company funds. We shook hands. I had a partner in my war against Julian Mercer. That evening, I drove home to find Celeste's car in the driveway. She was sitting at our kitchen table, still wearing the same clothes from the hotel incident, looking like she'd aged 5 years in 3 days. We need to talk, she said. Do we? She flinched at my tone. Good. Simon, I know how this looks. Like you've been sleeping with Julian Mercer for 8 months while lying to my face? Yeah, that's exactly how it looks. It wasn't supposed to happen. It just developed, like a rash. She stood up, tried to move closer. I stepped back. Just don't. I want to fix this. We can go to counseling, work through what, Celeste? Your decision to cheat on me with a married man who's been running a harem of side pieces? Your best friend covering for you? The fact that you've been lying to me for months? You don't understand the pressure I've been under at work. Julian was supportive. He listened. He listened to you complain about me while he was planning to add you to his collection. Her face went white. What do you mean, collection? I pulled out my phone, showed her one of Red's photos, Julian with the redhead from accounting, taken 6 months ago. You weren't special, Celeste. You were convenient. She sank back into her chair. That's not... He said I was different. He said the same thing to Lisa Martinez, and the marketing consultant from Portland, and the city councilwoman's wife. Should I continue? The silence stretched between us. Outside, our neighbor's dog barked at something in the darkness. I made a mistake, she whispered. You made a choice, multiple choices, every day for 8 months. What do you want me to say? Nothing. I want you to pack your things and get out. This is my house, too. Actually, it's not. It's in my name, purchased with my inheritance from my father. You can check with a lawyer if you want, but I think you'll find your legal position is weaker than you assumed. She stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. I'm not leaving. Then I'll make staying uncomfortable. I walked to our bedroom, gathered her remaining clothes, and carried them outside to the driveway. She followed, protesting, but I ignored her. You can't do this. Watch me. I went back inside, changed the locks on all the doors. I'd already ordered new ones online, and activated the security system. Celeste pounded on the front door for about 10 minutes before giving up and driving away. My phone rang immediately. Eddie, saw the show from my truck across the street. You okay? Better than okay. Phase 2 is complete. What's Phase 3? I looked out the window at the empty driveway, thought about Julian Mercer's system for destroying marriages, about Rhea Carter's complicity, about 8 months of lies. Phase 3 is where it gets interesting. The next morning, I arrived at work early and went straight to Julian's office. His door was open and he was on the phone, feet up on his desk like he owned the place. Telling you, the wife thing will blow over. Vanessa's all bark, no bite. And Celeste was getting clingy anyway. Time to move on. He noticed me in the doorway and quickly ended his call. Simon, how are you holding up, buddy? Buddy, like we were friends, like he hadn't been screwing my wife for 8 months. I'm great, Julian, really great. In fact, I wanted to thank you. He blinked. Thank me? For taking Celeste off my hands. Turns out she's more high maintenance than I realized. You're welcome to her. Well, that's very mature of you. I'm a mature guy. In fact, I'm so grateful I brought you a gift. I set a small wrapped box on his desk. He opened it cautiously. Inside was a hotel key card. What's this? Key card to Suite 412 at the Riverside Hotel. Thought you might want it as a memento. You know, of all the good times you had there with all your different guests. His face went pale. Simon, I think there's been a misunderstanding. No misunderstanding. I understand perfectly. You're a predator who targets unhappy wives, makes them feel special, then discards them when they get inconvenient. It's actually impressive in a sociopathic way. That's not... The redhead from accounting lasted 6 months. The Portland marketing consultant, 4 months. The city councilwoman's wife, 3 months. Celeste made it to 8 months. That's practically a long-term relationship for you. Julian stood up, tried to look intimidating. You need to be careful about making accusations you can't prove. Who's making accusations? I'm just admiring your system, though I have to ask, how many company credit cards did you use for those hotel rooms? Because I'm pretty sure Vanessa's divorce attorney is going to be very interested in that information. You don't know what you're talking about, don't I? Conference room B, booked under fake names for afternoon meetings with your harem. Company car for trips to Portland. Even the office after hours, I bet security footage would show some interesting comings and goings. Julian's jaw tightened. What do you want? Nothing. I just wanted to say thanks. And to let you know that Vanessa's private investigator is very thorough. Red Mallory, you know the name? The color drained from Julian's face completely. Have a great day, Jules. Oh, and you might want to update your resume. I hear the job market's tough for middle-aged account directors with ethics violations. I left him standing there, staring at the hotel keycard like it was a bomb. The war was just beginning. Within a week, Julian Mercer's carefully constructed world began collapsing faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. Red Mallory was thorough, more thorough than I'd expected. The private investigator had documentation going back 3 years, a pattern of behavior that painted Julian as a serial manipulator who used company resources to facilitate his affairs. But Julian wasn't going down quietly. Simon, we need to talk. Rhea Carter cornered me in the break room Thursday morning, her usual composed demeanor cracked around the edges. This vendetta against Julian has gone too far. Vendetta? I stirred my coffee slowly. I'm not sure what you mean. Don't play innocent. Everyone knows you're behind the investigation, the leaked information, all of it. I'm behind holding people accountable for their actions. If that feels like a vendetta, maybe the problem isn't me. Rhea moved closer, lowering her voice. Celeste made a mistake. She knows that. But destroying Julian won't fix your marriage. My marriage was destroyed 8 months ago. I'm just cleaning up the debris. Julian's talking about filing harassment charges. I laughed. Actually laughed. Let him try. I haven't done anything illegal. Can he say the same? Her face flushed. You're not the only one who could get hurt in this. There are other people involved, people who were just trying to help a friend. You mean people who helped cover up an affair? People who lied by omission for months? People who violated their professional ethics to protect a cheater? Ria's role as HR manager made her complicity particularly damaging. She'd known about Julian's pattern of affairs, had helped cover for both him and Celeste, and had potentially violated company policy in the process. I was protecting my friend. You were enabling adultery and workplace misconduct. There's a difference. She left without another word, but I could see the fear in her eyes. Good. That afternoon, my phone rang. Eddie, we've got a problem. Julian's disappeared. What do you mean disappeared? Vanessa went to serve him with additional court papers. His office is cleaned out, apartment's empty, and his car's gone. Looks like he packed up and ran. I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. What about Celeste? That's the problem. She's missing too. I met Eddie and Red at the King's Tap within the hour. The bar was nearly empty. Just us and Twitch Turner, the local gossip who seemed to live on his corner stool. Timeline, Red said, spreading papers across our table. Julian cleaned out his office Tuesday night. Security footage shows him loading boxes into his car around midnight. Wednesday morning, Celeste never showed up at Ria's place. Her car was found in the parking lot of Julian's apartment complex. Maybe they ran off together, Eddie suggested. Red shook his head. Julian's credit cards were maxed out paying for his lifestyle. His bank accounts were frozen as part of the divorce proceedings. And according to my sources, Celeste had been trying to end things with him since the hotel incident. Sources? Lisa Martinez, the redhead from accounting. Julian approached her last week trying to rekindle their affair. She recorded the conversation. Red pulled out a small digital recorder and pressed play. Julian's voice, desperate and slurred. Lisa, baby, I know we had our problems, but I need you right now. Vanessa's trying to destroy me, and Celeste's being a witch about everything. We were good together, remember? Lisa's voice cold. We were never good together, Julian. You used me, lied to me, and discarded me when I got inconvenient. Just like you're doing to Celeste now. That's different. Celeste knew what she was getting into. Did she know about the others? All the others? A pause, then. She's threatening to go to the police about some things, private things. I can't let that happen. The recording ended. What kind of private things? I asked. Red's expression was grim. According to Lisa, Julian has been documenting his conquests. Photos, videos, personal information. He uses it to keep them quiet when they try to leave. Blackmail. Exactly. And if Celeste was threatening to expose him, the implications hung in the air like smoke. We need to find them, I said. Already working on it. Julian's phone is off, but I've got contacts tracking his credit cards, his car registration, known associates. If he's still in the area, we'll find him. Twitch Turner suddenly appeared at our table, drink in hand. You boys talking about Julian Mercer? Maybe, Red said carefully. Why? Saw him yesterday, out at the old Riverside warehouse. You know, the abandoned one by the water treatment plant. Had a woman with him, looked upset. We all stared at him. You sure it was Julian? Eddie asked, like, sure as crap. Man owes me money from a poker game last month. I'd recognize that a hole anywhere. Red was already standing. We need to check it out. Shouldn't we call the police? I asked. And tell them what? That we think a man might be with his girlfriend at an abandoned warehouse? We need more evidence before involving law enforcement. Eddie was checking his phone. Warehouse district's about 15 minutes from here. If we leave now, I'm coming with you, I said. Simon, this could be dangerous. She's still my wife. The Riverside warehouse sat on the edge of town like a rotting tooth, surrounded by empty lots and rusted chain-link fence. Julian's black BMW was parked behind the building, hidden from the main road. There, Eddie whispered, pointing to a second-floor window where a faint light flickered. Red pulled out his phone. I'm calling for backup. Private security, not police. We don't know what we're walking into. How long? I asked. 20 minutes. A scream echoed from inside the building, high, desperate, unmistakably female. We don't have 20 minutes, Eddie said. The building's main entrance was chained shut, but Eddie found a loading dock door that had been forced open. We slipped inside, using our phone flashlights to navigate the debris-strewn floor. The scream came again from somewhere above us. We found a staircase and climbed carefully, the old metal steps groaning under our weight. The second floor was a maze of abandoned offices and storage rooms. Light spilled from a room at the far end of the hallway. "Told you, I'm done with this," Celeste's voice, strained and frightened. "You're done when I say you're done." Julian's voice, but different. Harder, more desperate than I'd ever heard it. We crept closer. Through the partially open door, I could see into the room. Julian had set up some kind of makeshift living space, sleeping bag, camping equipment, boxes of files and electronics. Celeste was sitting on the floor, her wrists bound with zip ties. "I never signed up for this," she was saying. "The affair was one thing, but this, kidnapping, blackmail, you've lost your mind." "I haven't lost anything yet, but I will if you go to the police with those accusations." "What accusations? I never threatened to." "Don't lie to me." Julian backhanded her across the face. That's when Eddie and I moved. Eddie hit the door first, his military training evident in the fluid way he assessed and controlled the situation. Julian spun around, reaching for something on a nearby table, but I was already there. "Hello, Jules." He froze, staring at me with wild eyes. "Simon, how did you find you? Turns out you're not as smart as you think. Also turns out the whole town knows you're a predator." Julian's hand inched toward what I now saw was a knife on the table. Eddie noticed, too. "I wouldn't," Eddie said quietly. "I've had a very boring week, and I'd love an excuse to hurt someone." Julian's hand stopped moving. I looked at Celeste, still bound on the floor, a red mark on her cheek where he'd hit her. Despite everything, the lies, the affair, the months of betrayal, seeing her hurt triggered something protective in me. "You okay?" I asked her. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Simon, I'm so sorry about everything. I never meant for it to go this far. We'll talk later. Right now, let's get you out of here." Eddie had zip-tied Julian's hands behind his back using restraints from his security kit. "Red's backup should be here soon," he said. Julian was ranting now, the careful facade completely gone. "You don't understand what you're dealing with. I have information on half the married women in this city. Photos, videos, personal details. If this gets out, it's already out." Red's voice came from the doorway. He entered with two other men, private security contractors by the look of them. "Vanessa found your little insurance collection. Turns out keeping blackmail material on a shared cloud account isn't the brightest idea." Julian's face went ashen. "That's impossible. The account was encrypted. Your password was harem123, not exactly NSA-level security." While Red's team secured Julian and called the actual police, I untied Celeste. She collapsed against me, sobbing. "I'm sorry," she kept repeating. "I'm so sorry." I held her but felt nothing. No anger, no love, no forgiveness. Just emptiness. "I know," I said. "But sorry doesn't fix this." The police arrived 30 minutes later, along with paramedics and what looked like half the town's gossip network. Julian was arrested on multiple charges: kidnapping, blackmail, misuse of corporate funds, and several others that Red rattled off with obvious satisfaction. Celeste was treated for minor injuries and released. As we stood outside the warehouse, watching Julian loaded it into a police car, she turned to me. "What happens now?" Now you deal with the consequences of your choices. The divorce papers are real, by the way. Filed them Tuesday." "Simon, please, can't we try to work this out?" I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in months. The woman I'd married, who I'd loved, who I'd trusted with everything. She seemed like a stranger now. "Work out what, Celeste? You chose Julian over me. You lied to me for 8 months. You let your best friend cover for you while I worked extra hours to pay for an anniversary trip you had no intention of taking. I made mistakes. You made choices, and now you get to live with them." Red approached us. "Simon, there's something you should know. The investigation turned up financial irregularities at the agency. Celeste's corporate credit card shows several charges that don't match her expense reports." Celeste's face went white. "Those were legitimate business expenses. Hotel rooms in Portland when you were supposed to be working from home. Restaurant charges for 2 when you claimed to be dining alone with clients." "I don't think so." "What does that mean?" I asked. "It means she's likely facing termination and possible criminal charges for fraud." I felt a grim satisfaction watching Celeste realize that her professional life was about to implode along with everything else. The agency's board is meeting tomorrow, Red continued. They'll want to distance themselves from this scandal as quickly as possible. Celeste grabbed my arm. Simon, you have to help me. Tell them it was Julian's idea, that he pressured me. I gently removed her hand. I'm done helping you, Celeste. You're on your own now. The next evening, I sat at the King's Tap with Eddie and Red, watching the local news coverage of Julian's arrest. The story had everything: adultery, blackmail, corporate fraud, and kidnapping. The kind of scandal that would be talked about for years. Rhea Carter was fired this afternoon, Red reported. Turns out she'd been falsifying HR reports to cover up Julian's behavior. The agency's cleaning house. And Celeste? Terminated for cause. No severance, no benefits, and the district attorney is reviewing her case for potential charges. I raised my beer. To consequences. To consequences, Eddie echoed. Twitch Turner appeared at our table, grinning. Simon, my boy, you've given this town the best entertainment we've had in decades. That woman of yours picked the wrong man to cheat with. Ex-woman, I corrected. The divorce will be final in a few months. What's next for you? Red asked. I thought about it. For the first time in years, I had no idea what came next. No lying wife to worry about, no marriage to pretend was working, no need to work extra hours to pay for a life that was built on deception. Whatever I want, I guess. Maybe I'll take that European vacation I was saving for. Solo this time. You earned it, Eddie said. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Simon, it's Celeste. I'm staying at a motel on Route 1, room 23. Please come, we need to talk. I know I can make this right. I showed the message to Eddie and Red. They both laughed. Some people never learn, Red said. I typed back, there's nothing to talk about. Lose this number. Then I blocked her contact and ordered another round. Outside, snow was starting to fall, covering the city in a clean white blanket. Tomorrow would be a new day, a fresh start, a chance to build something real instead of living with lies. I'd won. Not just against Julian Mercer, not just against Celeste's betrayal, but against the version of myself that had been willing to accept less than I deserved. The last laugh was mine.